Welcome to the Board of Commissioners meeting for Monday, January 6th. This first meeting is an organizational meeting in which we'll set various and sundry appointments and elections, and then we'll take about a 5-minute break and do a short business meeting thereafter. If everyone would like to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. We will be going through this organizational process, and I thought I would see if there's any public comment before we get started. Seeing none, we're going to move on to the election of president. Do I hear any motion for a presidential candidate?
I would like to move that Maggie Meyer be reappointed by this board as president.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. Is there a motion for anyone else to be a candidate for president? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor of Maggie Myers being president for another year, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Now we have the election of vice president. Could we have a motion for Jim Riley to be the next vice president of the Board of Commissioners?
So moved. Second.
Second.
There you go. Any other candidates? Seeing none, could I have a vote? Jim Riley as vice president. Unanimous. Oh, yeah.
That is unanimous.
Well, it does make you a little uneasy, understandable. Now we have the appointment of Township Labor Attorney, Township Solicitor, John Rice of Grimm, Bean, and Thatcher. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any comment? Seeing none, could I have a vote? All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
And then we have the appointment of the Township Labor Attorney, Joseph C. Rudolph of Clark Hill. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Next, we have the appointment of Bill White as Township Secretary and the designation of Peggy Hagan as Assistant Secretary. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second? Any discussion? Any complaints over there? Okay. I'll call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Next, we have appointment of Vacancy Board Chairperson, who would be Janie Lau. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Now we have reappointments to boards and commissions. Our reappointment, we have Daniel Burnham to the Environmental Advisory Council for a first full term. We have Carol Jane reappointed to the Environmental Advisory Council for a first full term. We have Christopher Brubaker for the Planning Commission, a second term. And we have Joe Dow for Planning Commission, first full term. And John Nagel for the RHM Sewer Authority, a second term. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second? Any discussion about any of these candidates? Seeing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Now, appointments to boards and commissions. I have Barbara Fulton to the Board of Health for a first partial term. I have Bess Yates to the Environmental Advisory Council for a partial term, and Stephen Varenhorst to the Planning Commission for a first full term. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, could I have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, Barbara. Now we have, this one is a resolution, 2025-01, appointing Zach Hurst and Charles DeSantis to the Radnor Township Zoning Hearing Board in accordance with the municipality's planning code. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? This one is just a resolution because it's actually zoning hearing and it's more of a legal issue. All right. I'll call a vote. All in favor of Resolution 2025-01?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. All right. Could I have a motion to adjourn the reorganization meeting?
Just,
Oh, did I miss
just,
one?
did we miss number 6?
Maybe?
Oh, the liaison.
Oh, yes, we
appointments of the
did.
boards and
I'm so
liaisons.
sorry. Thank you very much. Let's go back to the appointment of liaisons to the boards and commissions. I have, for the Radnor Memorial Library, Kathy Agnew and Jake Abel. For the Board of Health, myself, Maggie Myers. For Parks and Recreation, I have Jim Riley. Environmental Advisory Council, Kathy Agnew. For the Shade Tree Commission, I have James Coates. And for the Radnor Fire Company, I have Jack Larkin and Maura Mulroney. All right, could I have a motion for that, please?
So-
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion or objections? No? Seeing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Thank you very much, Mr. White, keeping me in the straight and narrow. All right, so we're going to take a 5-minute break.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. You got it? Second? Okay.
All right. We do a little seat shuffle.
Yeah, we got to do the seat shuffle. You're here. Bring your tag.
Congratulations to you guys as well.
Delaware got more, and we'll see when I get there. Usually Delaware, it's weird. Like Delaware and the beaches, nothing. You know, like the last time that we got something, that little coating to an inch, I went home and it was nothing. definitely could have got higher up that list, even if you knew
That list doesn't really, even the record, I mean, if you would have told me before through the, I wouldn't have.
who all the other people are.
Well,
You know?
even with,
Eric Dickerson.
you know the name Eric Dickerson.
Yeah, it's not a name. I mean, it's not a.
Well, there's a few efforts.
Yeah, maybe distance helps out. When you're right next to them, they're tough to watch.
All right. Everybody ready? We're going to call to order the business regular meeting for the Board of Commissioners for January 6th, 2025. If everyone would again join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. We're going to start the meeting out with public participation. Any takers? Any taker? Okay. Seeing none. Let's do the consent agenda. Is there any item on the consent agenda that a commissioner or member of the public would like to pull? Seeing none. Could I have a motion to pass the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And I will call a vote. All in favor of the passing the consent agenda? Aye?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to the business agenda. We have item 3A, authorization of the payment of change orders number 11, 12, and 13 to Mecco Constructors Incorporated for the revised inlet and crosswalk configuration on Highland Avenue, the additional sidewalk to the parking lot, the repair of the deer fence, and the overall quantity adjustment, including the soil removal modifications for the total net credit amount of $102,959.72, and for an associated time extension for the South Devon flood reduction and West Wayne Preserve wetlands restoration and habitat enhancement project, contract B-23-007. Again, note that this change order is a credit, so no funding is required. Could I have a motion, please?
Second.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Riley, seconded by Mulroney. Mr. Norsini.
So just to reiterate what you said, Madam President, this is a credit. So we don't always just spend money, Mr. Tate. We do save money at times. So it's laid out very well in the letter. There were some small additions, but the real big changes, the deductions come for the soil quantities. And that's where we stand today. The project is complete. We are just on the maintenance period. We have a 3-year maintenance contract for the West Wayne Preserve. So what we have before you, we have to do this, even though it is a credit, it's come to the board, is a $102,000 credit on the project.
We like these when they come to the board. All right. Any commissioner comments or questions? Yes. Commissioner Agnew.
Mr. Norsini, I've recently become acutely aware of the need for handicap accessibility. Just saying. And how many places I would have thought aren't. So this particular crosswalk, will it be ADA compliant?
So this is ADA compliant. This replaced an existing ADA curb ramp from the West Wayne sidewalk project, and what replaced it is ADA compliant. So as are the two that cross West Wayne over to the veterinarian. Yes, it is.
How do we decide that?
We don't decide. So it's designed,
It's designed, right.
right? And it's inspected, and our inspector is out there. So if you look through that packet, there was actually some cut sheets for the design of those crosswalks. And our inspector is there to ensure that that is built to those requirements.
Okay. So we have an inspector who comes in, because, there's plans and then there's how things are
No,
built.
that's correct. And it was our top consultant inspector was on that job.
Okay.
And wouldn't anything new going in there have to be ADA compliant?
That's correct.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
I mean, any project we do,
I mean, it's like touching Fenimore Woods
Right.
or touching it, you know, as soon
It's-
as you touch it, you've
It's always
got
going to be,
Yeah.
now, there's exceptions to the rule, but wherever we can, we do.
Good. I mean, it's a good rule. All right. Any public participate, or any further commissioner questions, comments? Seeing none? Any public participation? Not on this one. Okay, so I'm going to call a vote on resolution, to approve Resolution 2025-04. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. All right. I got to turn my page. Item 3B, Resolution 2025-05, authorization to award contract B-24-005, tree removal, pruning, and stump grinding to Willow Tree and Landscaping Services, LLC, for a 3-year contract totaling $230,166 to be funded by the General Fund and Tree Maintenance Fund, or Tree Maintenance Fund. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Mulroney, second. Seconded by Commissioner Riley. Mr. Foster.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. I'm really excited to see it come to this point. This started in the winter of 2024, and after going through an introduction with the BOC and also taking it to Shade Tree and then coming back to the BOC to get permission after making any necessary changes that were advised to us, we finally got permission from the BOC to be able to go out to bid. And in front of you is the results of that. I really appreciated the way that all the bidders, the way they were responsible in regards to how we asked them to break down the parks and also the year-by-year bids for each one. I mean, it made it very understandable for us to be able to see exactly what each park would cost to get that work done. And of course, in front of you is the lowest responsible bidder that we're asking permission to be able to award to. And once we award it to them, there will be a meeting with myself, the park supervisor, and the township arborist, because there are going to be a lot of specific rules being able to carry this out from year to year. But before you is everything that you see, and if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions or for Mr. Foster or comments?
I do have just a quick question, since I live next to one of the parks that's in this resolution, but also for others. Is there a way to know what and when this type of work is going to be happening in the individual parks? Are you going to announce that publicly?
Definitely. We will work closely with the PIO and also even with Director Cohen to let her know everything that's happening and when. Like, for instance, Fenimore Woods in that first year project, that is going to be the first park that we do in that project because there's other things that are happening there. So we have to get in to be able to get out of the way. And then we'll go into Odoricio and the Willows succinctly. So, yeah, all that communication was done in-house first, and it'll also be done out to the public, so they'll know exactly when and what is happening.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And should a tree deteriorate in the meantime more than it had been expected, how does that mess with your plans? Would you just prioritize that as a tree removal? And, I mean, assuming it's already in the bid list?
Yes, anything that has deteriorated to the point
Where it's
before we've got
dangerous.
to it being awarded, we had to take care of it. So
Got it.
we removed it from that list, so that wouldn't
No,
be
but I
part
guess
of it.
I'm asking if a tree is on the list and deteriorates to be hazardous or
Yeah.
dead.
They're all hazardous, I mean, but we're
okay.
taking all of them. So
Got it.
all of the ones that'll be in that first year will be removed. So let's say, to your question, if something from maybe year 2 deteriorates to that point, then we will take that down. We won't wait for year 2 to address that, or year 3. And there are some that have deteriorated, and we will act on them once we know about them.
Good. I just didn't want to get into that muddle we got into earlier in the year. So you've got a plan. I like it.
Yes.
All right. Any other comments, any public participation? Seeing none, we're going to take a vote on Resolution 2025-05, All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. All right, our last agenda item here is ordinance 2025-01. This is an introduction of the Radnor Township fee schedule for 2025. Mr. Tate, you want to start us out on this one?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. We have before you, excuse me, the proposed fee schedule for 2025 that incorporates a variety of changes, and every department here represented has some changes that are a part of this schedule. In some cases, fees that either increased to a market rate or to a more representative cost reimbursement, or in some cases, fees that were actually eliminated. And if there are any specific questions regarding any of the fees enclosed here, our department heads are here to speak on behalf of those.
No, but I do want to thank you very much for highlighting in yellow all the changes or new items. It made it really easy for us to look at the packet. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome.
Madam President, if I
White,
could
yeah.
just add on to that quickly. Within our code, there's a requirement in Chapter 162 to consolidate the fees. So that is why this schedule exists, is to bring all of the fees that exist throughout the code into one central spot. And as Mr. Tate noted, this is something that is adopted annually by ordinance, usually as part of the budget process. But given the way the budget process went the last month there with the number of moving parts, this was brought tonight for introduction.
Understood. Thank you. All right. I don't think I got a motion on this one.
Let's do it again.
Ordinance 2025-01. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second. Thank you. Any commissioner questions, comments? Seeing none. Any public comments? Seeing none, I'm going to call a vote on ordinance 2025-01, just the introduction, so we'll see it again. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. All right. On to reports of board liaisons. Anyone have a report? I'm just going to note that there will be a special meeting of the Board of Health for organizational purposes via Zoom tomorrow evening. Just letting everyone know that one. We're trying to find a new president. Any new business? Any old business? Any final public participation?
I'm gonna,
I'm sorry.
if you don't mind, I'll call this old business.
Yeah.
I have served in leadership for 4 years. It has been a really special experience, primarily because our staff is so wonderful. I will miss our weeklies with Mr. White, but I'm really glad that Jim Raleigh is taking over as vice president. So I just wanted to thank you. It was an honor. And now I get to just be a commissioner, and that's going to be kind of nice, too. So thank you all.
I have to follow that up with a we thank you, because you've done a fabulous job with 2 years as vice president and 2 years as president and mentoring all the time. So thanks so much. That was old business. We tried to do public participation, but have none. So I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second? All right, all in favor? Aye.